Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Atlanta, Georgia, it's time for GWBC Radio's Open for Business. Now, here's your host.
Lee Cantor here, another episode of GWBC Open for Business, and this is going to be a good one. Today we have with us Littie Brown with SpeedPro Marietta. Welcome, Littie.
Thank you. Thank you, Lee.
Well, before we get too far into things, tell us about SpeedPro. How are you serving folks in Marietta?
Well, we're trying to help people get back to normal by providing them with all types of signage that they might need. We're a large format graphic printing company, so everything from your social distancing sign to your banner that says we're now open. We want to support our customers any way we can to help them through this time and get their business back going.
So now I would imagine that even during the pandemic, there's been a lot of demand for things that people had never used before. Like you mentioned, those social distancing, things on the floor, and then signage, and maybe some education about what a company's doing for safety. Has your business been dramatically impacted by the pandemic?
We have been impacted. I try not to say dramatically because it helps keep me feeling pretty good and not getting caught up in, oh my God, it's bad. We have been impacted because if you think about the industries that are gone, things like trade shows and events, sporting events where we produce quite a few signs, that part of the business is not back. But fortunately, there are always new nuances that comes with the printing industry, and that is being able to provide the signage for those people who are back to work, or schools and, other organizations that need to make sure they have all the proper distancing signs, all the proper, just the protocols. You do quite a few of those foam boards coming in the door. Are you having a fever? Don't come in with that. Have you been around anybody? So people are having to really rethink how do they open up and open up safely. And so what we try to do is at least help them and really kind of customize those signs for them. It's really good if you got to put a social distancing sign down that it looks like your business. And so you can advertise at the same time.
Right. I think signage is so critical in today's world, especially in terms of educating and letting people know you're open. I mean, just some of the kind of the basic blocking and tackling in the business that it's a must-have, not a nice-to-have in today's world.
For sure.
Now, for you, when the pandemic struck, what did you and your team how did you go about strategizing on how to kind of handle this?
Well, printing to some degree was still kind of an essential business. So we have a very small team, and we did our own protocols. We limited the number of people that could come into our facility to where it's just the workers. We change when somebody orders or they needed some signage. We basically have it sitting out for them out front where they could pick it up, where they didn't have to interact with anybody. I'm a very interactive person, so it's very challenging to not be able to have people come in and see the equipment and, see the printouts and things like that. So we had to think a little bit differently. Fortunately and unfortunately, we were down an employee and in the position to rehire that we ended up not doing because the pandemic hit right then. So we were able to maintain the folks we have with just very minor impact. Once we received the PPP loans and things like that, we were back full time. So we were in every day for the most part. There were a couple of days we shut down, but for the most part we were in, and there was something that needed to be done for somebody. So we wanted to make sure we're readily available. We did away with, for that period of time, with rush fees. So if somebody needed something right away, we were able to help them out without any additional charge. So we're not trying to charge people during this time anything extra.
Now, any advice for the business owner out there who has a staff? Like, what are some ways that you can keep your staff motivated when there is these kind of trying times?
For me, it is communication. One of the things we have always done, we start every day with our production meeting, and we start with a quote of the day. We've actually changed that to a scripture of the day, if you have one. But we want everybody to recognize that what's going on with you. We talk about family. How's everybody doing? We make sure that we keep up with everybody's direct family and even their indirect family. My mom and sisters are in Texas, so I haven't seen them. So we try to make sure that we let people talk about and open up. We also want to make sure that they feel safe, so that when they go back home, then they know that they were in a safe environment, and then they're not taking anything back to their family. And so we take temperatures in the morning when we come in. We wear a mask inside. If we have anybody other than the main 3 staff, we have a couple of part-time that we all wear masks when they're in, so that, because we're introducing anybody new. So we want to make sure that we're safe and that they feel comfortable in saying that I know that I'm going to be safe when I go back home.
Now, when you started going through this pandemic and you were kind of creating this lines of communication and this openness with your team, is there anything that maybe surprised you or inspired you about the resilience of your team?
No, because they're very resilient to start with. So what I did like is the fact that everybody felt in a small business that everybody needed to chip in and make sure that they did as much as they could to keep the business going. And so I never wanted my employee to feel as if, okay, am I going to be risking getting paid or not getting paid? So we made sure that, that was already handled up front and that there were no issues with that. And that relaxes people. People, less tense when they feel like they're working in an environment that they're being respected and, honored and making sure that they're taken care of so that they can work up to their best abilities. So we tried to remove any of that. A couple of times where if you needed to leave early or you need to go home and, because you had to pick up the kids because of work from home and somebody else not there. And so, you try to help work around the spouses and ensure that they, had the flexibility that they needed, knowing that they were going to stay late and do what they need to do to get the jobs done.
Now, what advice would you give a business owner regarding staying involved in the community when a lot of these folks that are business owners are just trying to keep the doors open in their own organization, but how do you still find time to serve the community?
Well, I think it has to be almost a natural part of what you're doing. You may not serve to the same degree because there are a lot of organizations that aren't necessarily doing as much, but you've got to stay engaged with somebody, with some organization or with some of the young people. We try to find, what we're doing and then who we're doing it with. How do we expand and help in that area? We try to have a part-time student. We had one that left to go back to college, and then we hired one behind that for that's in high school that wanted to continue to work but needed to be in a comfortable and a less environment where there are a lot of people. So, that's, we try to always give back in that manner. We've actually printed some signs and, and done some things for some nonprofit organizations that needed it, but may not have had, the funds to normally get what they would have gotten before. And so we try to keep that open. But you've got to stay involved. Find that what makes you feel good is that you did something that helped somebody else. And to keep from getting down about your business, I tell people all the time, when you start feeling bad about yourself, go do something for somebody else. And if you do that, you'll be surprised how much that lifts you up.
Now, has there been anything that in your business regarding your printing? I know you do everything from banners all the way to vehicle wraps, but is now maybe a time when people can experiment with a different kind of format that maybe they hadn't before, that maybe now's an appropriate time to bring that out?
Well, it's funny you say that, Lee, because we, in the midst of all of this, we were in the position to add a new piece of equipment where a lot of people would have been, well, I'm not going to do that. Well, we stepped out and went ahead and got it. And so it opens up a whole different sets of things that we can do. Right now, we're trying to help people to be a little more creative with their advertising and, in their signage, that they can actually get cut out in more shapes and something different that catches people's eye versus just a square cut sign. And so, and then it's helped with our productivity. We've been able to really help get signs and get floor graphics, produced and cut and ready to deliver in 3 or 4 days, which would have normally taken a week or two. So being able to be more efficient and more creative. So we're just getting into all of the things that we can do, and hopefully we'll be able to share that with more people, and they'll be able to see the activity. One thing I will tell you that has picked up, and that's vehicle wraps. And I believe it's because you can't go in and see a lot of people, but if you have something on your vehicle, people are stopping and calling and seeing your phone number. So you're reaching a wider audience where you don't have the marketing dollars to go necessarily spend and put flyers out or see a lot of people.
So now, talking about vehicle wraps, what is kind of the range of pricings a person could wrap their vehicle if they were so inclined?
You can go from just some vinyl stickers on your car from a low of $500-$600 all the way up to a full wrap, depending on the vehicle, that may cost you $3,000-$4,000. So it's a wide range, and what we try to do is utilize the car, the color of the car, particularly if it's white. How do we help make the logo and the information pop where people can see it cleanly and easily? And then how do we work inside their budget to give them a good look with the money they have to spend? So it's a pretty wide range of what people can get.
And then how long do they typically last?
Oh, well, it'll last 5 years and more, especially if it's a garage vehicle. You've got elements that may impact it, but most vehicle wraps are 3 to 5 years.
Wow.
You'll end up changing, your look or your logo probably before the vehicle, the wrap wears off.
Yeah, so that's a pretty good value for your dollar.
Yeah, especially when you're thinking about marketing dollars. You can only do so much on social media. If you are a outside business, you're a painting company, or even a cleaning business, when people are driving by, it's things that they want to do that they can see. They can take a picture of your car. They can call you because your phone number's on there. I've even done that myself. It's like, man, I need that. They just drove by. Let me write that down. Yeah.
So now, as part of your kind of evolution as an entrepreneur, you've been active on several different boards, and you really immerse yourself in the community and the associations that you work with. Why is that so important to you? You gain business, you grow your business by the relationships that you build. And you can't build those relationships if you don't get involved. Currently, I'm the president of NABO, National Association of Women Business Owners here in Atlanta. And one of the things that we try to do is focus on not just networking for your business, but information, education, and then just having some, people there that, hey, I ran into this issue. What would you do about this? I don't know enough about, running a business that I could do it all by myself in a vacuum. And those relationships and those organizations really help you see more and learn more and find different ways of doing things. I'm on the board of PIAG, which is the Printing and Imaging Association of Georgia. And when that, board, when you think about our industry, you're tied to other people that have the same similar like business. And so being able to not only share ideas, but share staffing information, share product information. And then when I have a product that I don't do directly, I have a group of people that I can outsource to, and they have somebody that they can outsource their
large format too. So it's all relationships. And the more you build, and I like people, I like hanging around, I like talking, I like, engaging, I like helping. And if I can provide information to somebody that's going to help move their business, then I'm going to feel really good about that.
Well, this show is sponsored by the GWBC. Why is being a part of that organization important to you and your business?
I think it says in the title, it says why. Greater Women's Business Association. I mean, when you think about it, it is designed to help us as women business owners to not only grow our business, but develop those relationships, connect us with, corporate organizations, really advocate for small businesses and how do we get more of the, that piece of that pie, as we always say. But I've been a part of GWBC since I became a business owner. So for 7 years, I've been a part of the organization and I've had my business for 7 years. And it's what you put into it. But it's not because the people there aren't doing everything they can to help support women businesses. It's now the women that own the business have to be involved too. And so it's a great resource. The certifications do matter. As a woman business owner, it does make a difference to have that certification, and they help you maximize the use of it.
Now, any advice for the woman out there that is starting a business but isn't informed about GWBC? Is there? Can you tell them how they can get involved with it?
Yes, I think first of all, I would tell them to go to the website, the Greater Business Women's Association, GWBC.org. There is a ton of information on there. You can even call the headquarters. And it's really looking at the events that they have that are coming up to see if it's something you want to do. It is a certification organization. So if you're 51% or more as an owner, as a female owner, it is something that you would want to take a look at and then determine if your business fits that environment and if it's the direction that you're trying to go. So they can always call almost any member. They can call myself. They can call anybody that's a member there, and they will tell them, what the organization has done for.
Now, going back to SpeedPro, how are you forecasting kind of through the end of this year and into next year? I'm forecasting that we're going to have we're going to grow over last year, so we are projected to do better. We've had a slowdown, in this dip, and the back half is usually a stronger month. If things pick back up, we will be at least as flat to last year if it stays where it is. So we will at least meet that projection. But our projection is that we're going to grow, and then I really feel like we're going to take off in 2021. We're really going to pick up. Now, when your go-to-market strategy, has that changed any because of the pandemic? Are you getting more outreach to companies? How are you kind of interacting with more and more folks to let them know that you're out there and what you offer?
And I think that's probably the number one question for all of us. How much do I spend in online advertising? How much do I spend on social media? What organizations can I be a part of? What I'm trying to do are things like this, being on the radio, supporting GWBC by participating in the events, because you meet somebody, even if it's over Zoom, that, could either use your service or service you can use theirs. And so my calendar is pretty full, even though I might be sitting behind my desk, it's pretty full in engagements. But I have increased online marketing spending and social media spending, so I have increased that. But I'm also got to be very careful to not overspend, just because we're trying to make sure that our cash flow stays okay, because you just don't know where we're headed right now.
Right, but you're trying to nurture existing relationship and foster new ones as best you can, because relationships matter. That they're at the heart of all business.
Exactly, Lee. You've got to have that, and you can't be afraid to pick up the phone and call somebody or send a note to say, hey, you got, 30 minutes. Can we get on a call that we can just chat and talk? But I will tell you that getting involved in, organizations like GWBC, because they have so many events, even online, that you can end up networking with a lot of people without actually going down there and seeing anybody. You actually get a lot more done, because I have a week's worth of conferences next week, for example, and I'll probably end up seeing more people in that week than I would have seen in a couple of months.
Right.
Just because they're all right there on the screen. Right,
instead of having to travel and having drive time.
Exactly. And you save a little money. I don't have to fly right now. I can work. I can be a part of a national organization that's coming up in 2 weeks, attend a national conference and not have to pay for the airline and hotel.
That's true. Everything's changed. Well, Littie, if somebody wanted to learn more about what you got going on, or maybe help them brainstorm some creative ways to use signage in their business, what's the website?
The website is SpeedProMarietta.com. That's SpeedPro Marietta, SpeedProMarietta.com.
Well, go ahead. No, I'm sorry. You go ahead.
And then they can reach me at 770-693-1767.
Well, Littie, thank you so much for sharing your story today. We really appreciate you and the work you're doing in the community.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Lee.
All right, this is Lee Cantor. We will see you all next time on GWBC Open for Business.